He had one job, only one job. Shaul HaMelech was commanded by God to destroy Amalek, and that he wasn't able to fulfill. He wasn't able to do that. And because Shaul HaMelech, King Saul, did not discharge his obligation to annihilate the enemy of the Jewish people, to destroy Amalek, the Malchus, the right to the kingship, was taken away from him and given to King David, to David HaMelech. Yet a question that bothers many who read Tanakh is that Shaul HaMelech, okay, he sinned. He didn't kill out all of the Amalekim. He didn't kill the last Amaleki, but still, he was overall a good king, was he not? And yet David HaMelech, King David, while he also was overall a great king, no need for approbations from me, we know that, still, he did commit some sins, which I would think would be reasonable grounds to make him also lose the right to the kingship. After all, he sends Bathsheba's husband to the front lines and he dies there, so that way he can take her as a wife. That's pretty dark. I would think that would be a reason, an abuse of power, that would make him also deserve to lose his right to the kingship. So what is it that made Shaul HaMelech's disobedience so terrible that the kingship was taken away from him, yet David HaMelech, when he sinned, it wasn't taken away from him? Now, there are some who say that David says, he admitted his sin. David HaMelech, when he realized what he did was wrong, he didn't make up any excuses. He admitted to the crime and he showed remorse. That's one opinion. But another opinion is given by Rosh Soloveitchik, another approach. You see, there are 3 mitzvos. There are 3 commandments that we are given by God when we come into the land of Israel. Number 1, we are to set up a king. Number 2, then we proceed to destroy Amalek to preserve the Jewish people. And then finally, number 3, we are to build the Beis HaBechira, to build the temple to God. And Rambam says there is an order to fulfilling these mitzvos. One, it needs to first appoint the king so that the king can wage the war against Amalek. And that is, of course, the king has many responsibilities, but that is the primary reason for establishing a king, in order so that he can lead the Jewish people in battle to defend the Jewish homeland against its enemies, against Amalek. And so when Shaul HaMelech, he was given many tasks to fulfill, but this primary task, which is the purpose of someone being a king, he wasn't able to fulfill it. He wasn't able to destroy Amalek. He decided not to fulfill that mitzvah. Well, there's all sorts of terrible things someone could do. David HaMelech committed other sins, but Shaul HaMelech, he was appointed as a leader to fulfill a mission. He was appointed to serve God and to serve the people of Israel. And since he didn't fulfill the one job he was given, it wasn't really a punishment. He wasn't being punished so much for the sin. It's just he no longer qualified. If he wasn't willing, if he wasn't up to the task to destroy Amalek and to fulfill the mission that he was given by God, to serve God and people, then he just simply can't be the king anymore. He's not right for the job. And that's what makes him different than David HaMelech. David HaMelech, there were some terrible sins he committed, but that didn't disqualify him because he was still fulfilling his mission of serving God and people. And that really is the point of someone who's put in a position of authority, someone who's put in a position of power, is that our goal, of course, somewhere in the back of someone's mind, there's always, the Yetzer Hara of Gaiva. There's always a little bit of pride. We want accolades. We want recognition for our accomplishments. But anyone who's put in a position of authority, or anyone who we know is in a position of authority, we have to ask ourselves, are they fulfilling the mission, their tafkid, that they were given? And if the answer is no, if someone uses their position in order to benefit themselves, in order to help raise them to the next rung in the corporate ladder or wherever they're going, but not to fulfill their mission, then they don't qualify for that position anymore. They ought not to be there. And so Shaul HaMelech was an unfortunate example. When we read about Parshas Zachor, that there was a mitzvah to destroy Amalek, and he wasn't able to do that, he couldn't be the king anymore. And so this is an important lesson, that it means that those of us who are in positions of authority, I guess I'm speaking to myself too, we have to ask ourselves, what are our mission? What are our responsibilities to God and to our constituents? And it's a question also for those of us who are under the dominion, so to speak, of people who are in positions of authority, to hold them accountable and make sure that they are fulfilling what their mission is, and that their job ultimately is to serve Hashem, and ultimately also to serve the people who put him in that position as well. That's the lesson of David HaMelech and Shaul HaMelech, and that is one of the many lessons that I want us to think about, and I encourage us to think about as we go into Parshas Zachor. Have a wonderful Shabbos, everyone.